Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. It's great to see you all. And, it just seems like one thing I have noticed since the beginning of this war, Iran seems to be very organized in everything virtually. Militarily, they are very organized. They know exactly what they want to do. Just like their warning of the ground war, they said they're ready. They're ready. They got their hackers ready, they got their military ready. But you know who's not ready? The US. You can't be organized when your leader is a big hot mess. Then how are you organized? And the US is fighting just like that, disorganized, no good direction, don't know what they're going to do from one day to the next. And then you got some idiot president. All he can do is get on TV and lie to everybody every day and act like we can't catch on to what his ass is doing. And it is a disgrace. It's a deep embarrassment that a president of a country is like this. So you will never beat Iran because they're organized. They're going to always be 10 steps ahead of you. And they are. This is why you're not going to defeat them. See, they got their stuff together a few decades back. They knew what they had to do and they got organized and did what they needed to do. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, what did they do? They came in office and start firing generals, start letting people go over razor bumps. Now you have weakened yourself. You don't have anybody in your cabinet that's going to give you good direction now. Because if they say what you don't want to hear, you want to get rid of them. That is, see, this is why y'all could never be good leaders, because everybody's got to pacify you all the time. Everybody got to say what you like. And if they don't say what you like, then you want to get rid of them. See, the fact that you're like that, that defeats the perfect purpose of you ever being a good leader. You want to sit around and tell everybody else to take criticism while you can take none. That is a problem. That is a problem. And see, that's why I don't let people like y'all get in my face. Because when I see what you're like, you can't critique me. You can't. You may think you can, but you can't. Your history is a hot mess. Even what you do and practice today is a hot mess. You can't get in my face about a damn thing. I will never accept your criticism because your flaws way surpass mine or anybody else in my community. Your flaws way surpass ours. So the sad part is the world is also seeing this. You have perpetrated yourselves to be superpowers, and Israel wants to be a superpower. But now that everybody see the poor performance that's coming out of America, they now know you aren't a threat to anybody. You're a paper tiger. That's what the US is. You're a paper tiger. And this is not the first time your failure has been seen by the entire world. Y'all think back during the lockdown in 2020. Remember, America was leading the world in the most fatalities. Y'all remember that? America was doing poorly with the lockdown and everything going on here. Other countries were having less fatality and they were doing real well. The US was last. The US was in last place, y'all. With C-19, they were in last place out of the entire globe. See, your failures have been seen quite a few times by everyone. And now it's being seen by everybody globally. And they know you're full of crap. Nobody's going to be afraid of any more US threats. Nobody's going to be scared of you threatening to pull your money because, see, while Donald Trump was writing tariffs, China was making deals with the rest of the world. So where you were slapping tariffs, they were jumping to those countries and say, look, you can do deals with us, no tariffs. You know, China was doing that. China was doing that. They were going all around the globe. Wherever Donald Trump threw a tariff, they went to that country and said, we'll supply those things to you, no tariff. Now, US goods are not selling. You know why? Because everybody's getting their needs fulfilled by China now. See, China ain't stupid. They went right behind you. The customer you threw away, they ran and got that customer. And nobody, even after the war ends, nobody's going to come back to the US because nobody likes Donald Trump. They can't stand that man. You're not going to get anybody back as long as Donald Trump is the sitting president. And I think even after he's not the sitting president, the deals China made with all of these nations is so good, they ain't going to come back to you. They're never coming back. So, y'all, let's look at what happened. Iran attacked the US base in Saudi Arabia. They took out, this was brilliant, y'all. This was brilliant. They took out refueling planes. You know, the planes that go up in the air and refuel the fighter jets and refuel any military planes in the area. They took them out. I said, that was brilliant. That was actually brilliant. And they hacked the stocks. They zeroed out, y'all, the luxury stocks. They zeroed them out. So, yep, the KC 135s, you got it. Old clip 70. That's right. That was brilliant. So, anyway, Donald Trump is focused on, oh, we're going to get their nuclear plants. We're going to get their power plant. How are you going to get it if they take all of your refueling planes out? You see what I mean? I mean, that's why I'm saying Iran is like 10 steps ahead of Israel and the United States. 10 steps ahead. If they take all of those planes out, which I know they will, what are you going to get up in the air and bomb? And by the time you get planes over there from other parts of the world where you got bases, you know how much damage they can do between that time and you get more refueling planes in the area? I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I tell you what, Iran got some damn good military strategists. They are damn good because they know how to sit down and strategize. You notice the US didn't come up with a plan like that? Let's take out their refueling plant. Nope. Oh, we're going to go after the power plant. Oh, we're going to go after the nuclear this and the nuclear that. So Iran said, well, if we take out your planes, then what you going to go after? We take out them refueling planes. What your ass going to go after? So, y'all, this just goes to show you Donald Trump is not interested in having the best and brightest in his cabinet. Donald Trump is interested in having people that will glorify him and kiss his ass and tell him how wonderful and how great and what a best president he see. That's what he wants, and that is a danger to the entire nation. You can't strategize when you don't have the knowledge to do so. Pete Hegseth don't have any knowledge. He's an idiot. He don't have no knowledge. Look at how the war is going under his watch. Yeah, I tell you what, y'all ain't gonna be able to use the word high IQ ever again in your lifetime. All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. So Iran used their hackers to wipe out top luxury stocks, zeroed them out. Zeroed out the stocks. I mean, woo, man. Thank you, y'all. Thank you. Thank you.
At this point, it really does seem like Iran is doing a service to the rest of the world. They're targeting data centers. They're wiping out $100 billion from luxury stocks. The war of aggression against Iran is not going how the U.S. and Israel thought it was going to go. And we're talking luxury brands like Hermes. We're talking about Ferrari. We're talking about Bentley, Maserati. All of these luxury brands have lost $100 trillion since the start of the U.S. and Israel war of aggression against Iran. And it's not just tanking the stock market. It's not just tanking luxury brands either. They're literally hacking the head of the FBI. These hackers from Iran are taking responsibility for this hack, basically hacked Kash Patel's personal email addresses and put all these photos out, including him vacationing in Havana, Cuba, which is crazy given all the stuff this administration is doing to starve Cuba. But they said that soon you will see, the hacker said this, that FBI security, that the US's security is all a joke. And on top of that, in 4 weeks alone, the US has dropped 850 Tomahawk missiles on Iran, depleting their supply of Tomahawk missiles that take forever to recreate and resupply. This is absolutely crazy. It's because they're too busy bombing children's schools, killing little girls, bombing hospitals, and they're depleting their entire Tomahawk missile supply doing this.
What you're watching right now is an Iranian drone destroying very expensive American equipment in Iraq. This right here is a Sentinel radar system. Boom, blows it up. Destroyed, dude. And this other drone, it's just flying around this base in Iraq looking for something expensive to blow up. Oh, shit. There's a helicopter. Boom. Blew it up. But that radar dish cost $5 million. That Black Hawk helicopter cost $30 million. That drone that they used to blow them up only cost $500. That's a 1 to.
And you want to know something else about the drone he's talking about, y'all? The Iranian drone got onto that U.S. airbase undetected. You hear me? It got onto the U.S. airbase undetected. Let's continue.
$70,000 ratio. So for every dollar that Iran spends, they destroyed $70,000 worth of our shit. To put it in perspective, if you go to the movies and it costs you like $20, that's the equivalent of a $1.5 million mansion or 2 Lamborghinis, your choice. Oh, it's fucking, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say anymore. We're not in a good situation. All politics aside, all left or right, we're not in a good situation. Not even kidding. Our ability to float $39 trillion of debt relies completely on the American petrodollar, which relies on keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. right? The only two ways to open the Strait of Hormuz is take Iran's really bad deal or, you know, boots on the ground. So we're in a bad situation. Hey, all this footage came from Preston Stewart. Great guy. Shoot him a follow. Thank you, Preston.
Let me tell you what's happening, because a lot of people aren't explaining this properly. Just recently, we saw a serious situation unfold at one of our major air bases in Saudi Arabia. This is a very important base. Everybody knows that. And it was targeted with drones and missiles. Some of our incredible service members were injured, and there was damage to key aircraft that we use for operations in the region. Now, this comes at a time when we've been saying, and it's true, that we've made very significant progress in reducing Iran's military capabilities. We've hit infrastructure, we've limited what they can do, and we've done it very effectively. Nobody has ever seen anything quite like it. But at the same time, when something like this happens, you have to look at it very carefully, because it shows that while progress has been made, the situation is still active, still developing, and very complex. We're dealing with a region where things can change very quickly. One day you have momentum. The next day, something like this reminds you there's more to be done.
Okay, so just logged into Instagram and saw this. Reports confirm Iran just struck Prince Sultan Airbase in Saudi Arabia, which hosts U.S. troops and aircraft. 10 to 12 of our service members were injured, with 2 in critical condition. Several U.S. Air Force refueling planes, including the KC-135 tanker, on the ground were damaged. Who's ready for President Trump to blow them off the face of the earth? Bruh. Why? This is escalating. This is escalating into something we didn't want. I have not read any more than that. That's all I've heard about it currently. Just wanted to share that with you guys. You already know how I feel about this. I've been undecided from the beginning. I'm having a hard time figuring out even why we're doing this. And then it's just getting bigger and bigger. So there we have it. Friday night seems to be the night that they like to turn these things up. So I guess we'll see how this goes. But what are you guys feeling towards this at this point?
An Iranian attack on the Prince Sultan base there has apparently damaged at least several U.S. refueling tankers and also injured around a dozen U.S. servicemen. We're awaiting more details from that, but that reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Of that coming of...
Y'all, they took out 10. They have all of the refueling planes, those KC-135s, they have them all together in Saudi Arabia. And you can see, and there's different size ones. You see some that are huge, you see still, some that are smaller, but they're all on the ground together. Iran took 10 of them out. 10 refueling planes out. And like I said, see, this is what happens when you got idiots running your country and your military. America is fighting like amateurs. The way America is fighting Iran, you would think America never fought in a war ever. They're fighting like amateurs.
Course, as President Trump continues to say that the U.S. is winning in this conflict and winning easily.
Iran striking a U.S. base. Iranian state media releasing this image, which shows a strike at the Prince Sultan Air Base near Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. At least a plane was reportedly hit, and you can see what appears to be the charred remains. So we've circled that there for you, of a plane. And we are now learning of casualties, injured. Several service members, American service members, have been injured in this Iranian strike on a base in Saudi Arabia. It is the second strike to the Prince Sultan Air Base since the war started. And obviously, U.S. casualties being a part of this is very significant. It comes as there has been a dangerous escalation in the war with Iran today. Tehran tonight reporting that a projectile hit an area near its nuclear power plants, which comes shortly after Iran claimed that that Israel hit two of the country's largest steel factories, a power plant, and civilian nuclear sites. Now, tonight, Iran is warning its attackers will, quote, pay a heavy price.
The New York Times have reported that Iran's bombardment of U.S. bases across the Middle East have forced thousands of American troops to abandon their installations and operate from hotels, office buildings, and other improvised locations, effectively fighting a major war while working remotely. Many of the 13 military bases in the region in the Middle East are uninhabitable. Remember, I deliver the news, you decide what to think. Follow and share.
3 more of the KC-135 refueling planes in Saudi Arabia due to a ballistic missile strike from the regime in Iran. Now, this would be 8 total that on the ground in Saudi Arabia have either been damaged or destroyed. We had another one in a crash that was fully destroyed and another one in that same incident that was severely damaged. So we're losing a lot of these pretty expensive and not quickly replaceable airplanes. We have a new one called the KC-46 Pegasus, but it's having all kinds of teething issues, showing that Saudi Arabia is not really a safe place for our airplanes on the ground. That's why we're doing most of our bomber missions with the B-1 and B-52 all the way from England, because we understand that. Not a good thing. Iran, again, being effective in hitting our assets on the ground.
So the United States just released their total aircraft losses in the war in Iran. One F-35 was struck by an Iranian SAM missile over Iran. However, the pilot was able to return to base and make an emergency landing. 3 F-15 Strike Eagles were hit by Kuwait air defenses and ultimately destroyed in a friendly fire incident. 12 Reaper drones were hit and destroyed by IRGC forces. And finally, 1 Black Hawk and 1 tanker were destroyed in Iraq, 1 by a drone and 1 in a refueling incident. All of this together accumulates to roughly $1 billion in total aircraft losses, which is an insane statistic on paper. However, I want to put this into perspective. Last year alone, in 2025, the United States lost roughly 8 aircraft in training incidents alone, which means the United States lost more aircraft during training last year than they've lost in this war in Iran. And I'm not saying the United States is winning. I'm not saying they're losing, but this is an insane metric. The entire time the United States has done 10,000 missions in Iran, the only damage they were able to produce on U.S. planes was hitting 1 F-35, which then returned back to base safely.
3 minutes. That's how long the E-3 Sentry was visible on Iranian radar before it disappeared from every tracking system simultaneously. One moment, the aircraft was conducting routine surveillance over the Persian Gulf, its massive radar dome spinning atop the fuselage, scanning.
All right. If you know what the AWACS is, that is the plane that they send out. It's a spy plane. It's a Spain. This plane goes out and spies on other nations. Okay. And AWACS, y'all, was destroyed by the Iranians a week ago. Was this in the news? Was this in the news? This plane is used to go over nations to spy on them. It got destroyed a week ago. All right. They said it washed ashore and pieces of it started washing ashore. Reconnaissance. That's right. The Iranians destroyed it last week. So how much of a spy plane is it? It got detected up in the air by the Iranians and they took that sucker out, y'all. they took it out. It started washing ashore in pieces in Iran. So let's go. Let's get back to it.
Scanning hundreds of miles in every direction. The next moment, nothing. No distress call, no emergency beacon, just silence. And then debris began washing ashore on the Iranian coast. Pieces of fuselage, sections of the radar rotodome, and classified avionics that give American forces the ability to see the entire battlefield. Iran just shot down a 270 million AWACS aircraft, and America just lost its eyes over the Gulf. Let me tell you exactly what an AWACS is, because understanding this aircraft is understanding why its loss changes everything. AWACS stands for Airborne Warning and Control System. The E-3 Sentry, the plane Iran destroyed, is not a fighter jet. It's not a bomber. It's a flying command center, a surveillance platform that operates 30,000 feet above the battlefield and sees everything within a 250-mile radius. Every aircraft, every missile launch, every ship, everything. The aircraft is built on a Boeing 707 airframe. On top sits a rotating radar dome, 30 feet in diameter, 6 feet thick, housing the AN/APY-1 or APY-2 surveillance radar. This radar tracks more than 600 targets simultaneously, detects aircraft at ranges exceeding 250 miles, identifies friend from foe, assigns intercept vectors to friendly fighters, and coordinates entire air campaigns from a single platform. Inside,
would change after this conflict. This is the most impactful thing that's happening in the war. And if nobody's told you about this, then you should stop watching their media channels. And this was as of about 3 days ago when Iran announced that it was willing to open the strait to U.S. allies on one condition, that they buy oil in the Chinese yuan. 12 nations agreed within 48 hours. Yesterday, this was confirmed as India has now been the first U.S. ally that is now shipping oil out of the Strait of Hormuz after purchasing it in the Chinese yuan, not the U.S. petrodollar. So again, this is massive and should be alarming to every American. And why is that? Well, if you know anything about how America's power actually is held on the global stage, it is because oil is sold in the US dollar, the petrodollar. And then also, the United States dollar is the world reserve currency. And when you see things like BRICS, that is obviously a push and move away from the world using the US petrodollar. What this is doing is massively ramping up the incentives for our own allies, especially in Asia, to abandon the United States and join into BRICS because they don't want their countries to collapse. They have to have oil. And so what they're going to have to do, oh, sorry, now we have to buy it in Chinese yuan, which again is going to collapse the US petrodollar, which will most likely collapse the entire US economy. And we can see this happening in real time as Donald Trump 3 days ago begged NATO and then threatened NATO to come help send ships to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Literally, all of them declined. And I'm sure most of you saw this when it happened, but Donald Trump himself had to come out and admit, and that was that, yes, out of Japan, France, China, South Korea, and the United Kingdom and Australia, not a single country stepped forward, which is pretty bizarre because, again, Donald Trump said we won the war like 6 different times over the last 2 weeks. We didn't.
So good luck refueling our superior Air Force over there in the Iran conflict excursion, whatever. Yeah, Iran just blew up about a dozen F-35, I think it's FC-135s over in Iran. Those are the tanker ships that fly up and refuel our fighter jets. Yep, took out a whole airfield after we just lost one because 2 of them collided over there. So yeah, most of our fueling planes have now been blown to smithereens by Iran. And it's going to be pretty hard replacing those because almost every one that we have was made in the 50s. And if we actually put it up to today's economy, that'd be like $80 million a plane for Boeing to design and build those for us. So yeah, they just took out a whole airfield full of them, about a dozen of the F-35s, not F-35s, FC-135s. I'm sorry. Yeah, our fueling tankers over there in Saudi Arabia, right there sitting on the runway waiting to take off.
All right, y'all. All I have to say, America, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. I don't think you're going to be able to get up in anybody's face ever again claiming to be a superpower. And this is the way your military fought. But I don't blame the men and women over there. I blame the president and Pete Hegseth, the ones that let people go as soon as he got in office and let all the generals that could have been a big help right now and getting everything done or even talking Donald Trump out of doing this. See, when you got yes men all around you now, I thought you said you were obliterating them, Donald Trump. I thought you said there was everybody's dead. There's nothing left. Well, I tell you what, these are the most animated dead military I think I've ever seen. I never seen a dead people this animated ever, But this is what Donald Trump said. Everything's gone. Their military's gone. Their Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. But they're still kicking your ass. I guess their ghosts must be coming back and kicking your ass. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a cream puff. Yeah, I saw what, some of y'all were talking about Miss Skill Gamer. Yeah, I tried to reach out to her several times and I never heard back from her. So I didn't know what was going on, but I know she was taking care of her mother, So I said, well, maybe she's occupied, But I'll keep her in my prayers. Definitely. So, y'all, this is the update I have. And this is a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And you and Israel, the US and Israel, two countries on one country. And this is the best the US can do. And you got this president getting on TV every day talking about we're winning, we're winning. You're not doing anything that's resembling a win, Donald Trump. I don't know, maybe the foolish people that follow you is buying all that crap. And some of them are. If you look at some of the MAGA videos over on TikTok, some of them are buying everything Donald Trump is saying. Oh, this should be over soon. We are winning. So it probably won't be too much longer since we're winning. And I'm like, are you freaking? Yeah. Yeah, there are some that ignorant. Yes. For real. So, well, nothing good is going to come for Israel or the US because, the bottom line is, as long as they don't try to do the right thing by us, nothing good is going to happen for these countries. Nothing. Mm-hmm. So, look, I don't know what to tell y'all, but I will stay on top of whatever I can find out about what's really going on and not the little fakery crap Donald Trump keeps getting in the news with and act like the world is believing him. Donald Trump, if you had a clue, you would stop doing that. But since we know you don't have one, you're going to continue to get on TV talking about we won, we already won, and all that nonsense that you keep saying. So it is what it is, y'all. No, the dollar is already devalued. And see, that's another thing they need to be telling the American people. But I kind of know why Donald Trump don't want to give you the truth because he know he's going to be blamed for everything. And we know how them folks don't like being blamed for stuff that they even do. They do the shit and still don't want to be blamed. you know They do this stuff and still don't want to be blamed. And it is hilarious, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Well, I thank each and every one of you for your support. So I just hope that he doesn't make this bad decision to send in ground troops, y'all, because I do not want to see our young people come back, because we got quite a few in our community and they are over there. And I just don't want them coming back in body bags. I just pray that this mindless idiot don't make this decision. But I have a feeling he's going to do it. That's why he's building up that region and keeps sending more sailors and soldiers out there by the thousands, because he's getting ready to do something. Mm, mm, mm. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. And I got my next live coming up at 1:45. Thank you, Elizabeth48, for your super chat. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for your support. I deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.